Before we begin this podcast, please be advised that the following episode contains language that some listeners may find offensive and inappropriate. The opinions expressed by the host and guests are their own and do not reflect the views of the podcast producers. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome back to the next installment of Sean Reynolds' story. Last time, we heard about the tumultuous upbringing that led to Sean's incarceration at 20 years old. Now we wind back to 2008 when an 18-year-old Sean made a life-altering decision on this episode of Voices of a Killer.
What year and how old were you when this murder occurred?
I'm pretty sure it happened in 2008.
Okay. And how old would you have been?
18.
18 years old. So take me back to your life around your 18, like several weeks before this happened. Was this the time that you were still smoking and burning and going?
Yeah. So in September, the year before that, is when my mom died.
Yeah.
And I was just lost.
Yeah.
So I was mad at the world, and all I did was get high and drunk, and I really didn't care if I lived or died.
Yeah. So you're pretty much on a downward spiral, just not really caring about much because your mother.
Yeah.
This victim in your case, did you know him prior to that day this happened?
Never met him before in my life.
Did you have a crew that you hung around with, people that you smoked with?
Yeah. They were actually with me. There was 2 carloads of people.
What made you guys want to go and handle this guy?
So a couple of weeks before this happened, we had some homegirls that got beat up at a party. They went to a party and these guys jumped them. They beat them with hammers and broomsticks.
Why?
Well, because they were our homegirls.
I know, but why did they beat them?
Because they were our homegirls. They were guys that we had problems with.
Oh, okay. So were you in a gang?
No, but yeah. We were just a bunch of weird juggalo kids.
Sure. So whenever you found out about this, did y'all start planning about going and fighting them or what?
No. What happened was they'd been on the phone talking shit, and we're all drunk, and dudes, why don't you come over here and get beat up too? Because they already beat up our homegirls.
Yeah.
So one of our partners, I thought he was our partner. He said, "Fuck, I know where Sean's house is at." That's the other guy's name. His name is Sean too.
Okay.
Well, my co-defendant, he said he knows where it's at. Turns out these 2 are friends. So instead of taking us to Sean's house, he took us to the neighbor's house. Here, this is where Sean lives.
So y'all actually the wrong house?
Yeah, absolutely.
A hasty plan developed one evening in 2008 that brought Sean Reynolds to the door of an unknown stranger. Back in those days, an 18-year-old Sean hung around a motley group of troublemakers. Recently, Sean and his crew had struck up a vendetta with a group of guys who had reportedly assaulted their friends. That particular evening, as blood boiled and teenage egos inflated, Sean and his friends resolved to finally get even. Armed with a knife, Sean and 2 carloads of friends hit the road to teach their intended victims a painful lesson. But as rage overrode clear thinking, nobody stopped to check whether the address they'd been given was correct. The house they now barged into belonged to an innocent man, sound asleep and totally unsuspecting.
Whenever y'all pulled up at this wrong house, everybody in the vehicle thinks it's the right house?
Yep. I jumped out. I ran up the front porch, kicked in the front door. I ran up the stairs, and about the time I got upstairs, a naked man come barreling out of his bedroom and attacked me.
A naked man come out of his bedroom and attacked you?
Yeah.
Did you have any weapons on you?
I had a knife in my pocket.
You had a knife in your pocket?
Yep.
So you had a knife, and this guy comes running at you. When you say running at you, does he come in to attack you?
I mean, I come up these stairs, and this guy's about 8 foot tall.
Okay.
He's about 8 foot tall, and all I remember is dick.
All you remember is okay. I know you're kind of being hyperbolic. The 8 foot tall is not.
No, he was completely naked, and that's when I look back. That's what I remember. Bam.
What's the facial expression? Is he like coming at you like pissed off, scared? Is he actually running at you naked?
Yeah, he's running at me.
Where are you at? Are you all the way up the stairs?
Yep.
Do you have the knife in your hand? It's in your pocket.
It's in my pocket.
What do you do? What's your first thought? Run or pull the knife out?
No, because it's dark. So, like, I don't even realize who this person is. I just figured it was somebody's family member.
So
I thought it was a person.
Yeah, let me stop you here. Where's your crew at?
They're right behind me.
They're up the stairs kind of behind you?
Yep.
Do they see this naked guy too?
Yeah.
So what happens after this? Does he come all the way over to you?
Yeah, me and him lock up and start fighting.
Wow. Is he big where he's handling you? How big are you?
I've actually always been about 190, 200 pounds, and I'm 6'1".
Okay, so you're not small guy.
And this dude's probably about 8 foot tall.
Okay, so...
I say 8 foot tall. He's at least 6.5 foot tall. His dad, at my sentencing, his dad was like, I kind of know what happened, and it was either you or him, so I hate that I lost my son, but I understand, because he was huge.
Yeah, 6'8" is usually about to where it starts to get really extraordinarily tall. So he's probably like a 6'5", 6'6" guy, I would guess. I mean, obviously he can be a lot taller, but so whenever y'all lock up, is he punching or is he just trying to grab you? And what are you doing?
Oh no, he's punching me. He's choking on me and everything. And I realize immediately I am in over my head, and that's when I grabbed that knife. You
grabbed the knife, and did you stick him with it?
Yeah, I did.
Where's the first place you poked him?
It was in his rib cage. I didn't actually get hit anything vital.
Did you just kind of barely poke it to make him try to stop, or did you drive?
No, I drove it as hard as I could. It's just I was 18 years old. I didn't know about using no knives.
Sure. Did he stop immediately, or did he have too much adrenaline?
He never stopped.
Wow.
One of my co-defendants pulled me off of him, and then
did you keep?
The other one shot him.
Well, before he pulled you off of him, did you stab him more times?
I stabbed him at least 3 times.
All in the ribs, up like an up jab in the ribs?
Yep.
So they pull you off of him, one comes up and just finishes off by shooting him?
Yeah.
Whenever he shot the guy, was he laying on the ground already?
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know. I don't ever remember seeing him laying on the ground, first off.
Yeah.
He didn't die until after we left.
Sure. Did he just shoot once and y'all ran?
No, I think he shot him twice.
So after the second shot, did y'all just take off, or did y'all stick around at all and watch him?
Yep, we all left.
Did y'all steal anything on the way out?
No, I didn't.
At this point in time, did y'all think y'all just took care of the same guy that beat up the women?
No, nope. There was a whole conversation about it, and it became apparent that we went in the wrong house.
So you literally shot somebody that was not the right
sleeping
person.
In his bed.
Wow.
Completely innocent.
Wow.
And that's one reason why I don't really play around with my case. A lot of these guys they're real proud of what they did. On one side, I'm not ashamed of it, because if it wasn't the wrong person, I was actually going to handle someone that needed to be hurt.
That was a big mistake, though. I mean, either way, I think that, I don't know, I understand emotions and wanting to protect somebody that you care about, but look what happened, you know what I mean? That's just crazy.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
The plan to enact revenge had ended in disaster. Lying on the floor of a strange home was an unknown man, bloodied and shot, an innocent victim who had gotten caught in the crosshairs of a teenage fight and was the target of Sean's misdirected rage. Unbeknownst to Sean, this unknown man was in fact Jeff Rogers. Jeff Rogers grew up in Leavenworth, Kansas, a city on the Missouri River just 4 miles south of Fort Leavenworth Army Base. Jeff was 25 years old and had recently bought his own home in a residential neighborhood in Kansas City, Kansas, just a year and a half before this fatal night. He spent much of his time working on his house and taking time to get away from the city to go fishing. On April 8th, 2008, hours before the incident, Jeff had his best friend over for a cookout. It was a Tuesday evening, and with both Jeff and his friend having worked the next day, they weren't hanging out late. Jeff lived in a raised ranch-style home, and at around midnight, when Sean and his friends stormed into Jeff's house through the front door, they had to go up several steps to get to the main floor where Jeff's bedroom was located and the attack happened. There's a surreality to Sean's recollection of that night, his mind barely registering the sight before Jeff wrestled him to the ground. Physically overpowered by the towering 6'4" Jeff, Sean maintains that he acted solely out of self-defense as he desperately stabbed Jeff in an attempt to flee. 2 shots later, after Sean's friend intervened, Jeff loosened his grip on Sean enough for him to squeeze out. Without sticking around to see what came next, Sean and his friends sped away to a quiet location where their racing thoughts could catch up with what they'd just seen happen. After the break, we replay those heated discussions.
So you guys leave. As soon as y'all leave, y'all are talking about how that's the wrong person?
Yeah. It was kind of, we went to this place out in Bonner Springs, and because there was 2 whole carloads of people. We went out to Bonner Springs, and it was, hey, what the fuck was that?
What do you mean?
Well, first off, we didn't even know about the gun.
Oh, so y'all were like to the person that shot, like, where the hell that come from?
Yeah. And I thought you knew where we were going. Who was this naked man that I just fought? And at the time, we don't know that he's dead yet.
Right. Y'all just, well, shit. I mean, 2 shots and a couple stab wounds. You should probably expect that, you know?
Well, it was a 22, and he was 8 foot tall.
Yeah. Yeah, it didn't take, I mean, it's just that right. I don't know, man. So y'all are sitting there, y'all probably talking about it, freaking out with each other, like what the shit just happened?
Oh, and in the altercation, I stabbed myself.
Oh, really? Bad?
Yeah. No, when they grabbed me, I fell back, and the knife went through my ear, through the cartilage in my ear.
Wow.
I thought at the time that he shot my ear off.
Right.
Because the gun went off right next to my head.
You know, to stop right here, it's amazing that also, because the listener doesn't know, but your sentence, you said you got like 100 and something months over this?
Yeah.
How much time for this?
8.5 years. But keep in mind, I had already been in prison for 10 years.
Whenever they pinned the murder to you, you'd already been locked up?
Yeah. The detectives first came to talk to me. I'd been in prison for 8.5 years.
Okay, so after this murder happened, let's back up a little bit. Y'all discuss everything. Y'all finally part ways, or do y'all discuss how you should never talk about this?
That's exactly how it went. Hey, that fucking gun needs to go in the river. Take these shoes with it. Nobody ever say nothing again.
Did you burn all your clothes?
Yeah.
Did y'all ever talk about it after that night again? Get together and be like, look, you know.
Never talked about it ever again.
Did y'all hear it about on the news?
Yep.
So that night, y'all didn't know he died. Later on, you saw that he ended up dying. Y'all never got back together and said, hey, this guy died. Or did you know about it whenever y'all said what you need to not ever talk about it again? Was it known that he passed yet?
No, we didn't know. It was just...
So it was...
We're going to get...
Right. So at the time that y'all are discussing never talk about it again, y'all don't even know he's passed. So you discovered when? A day or two later?
Probably like 8:30 in the morning. Because I'm up all night watching the news. Because I'm scared.
I bet.
Yeah.
And finally you did see that somebody was killed.
Yeah.
You probably shit your pants, didn't you?
Well, and then every day for the next 10 years.
In spite of his serious injuries, Jeff was able to call 911. When first responders arrived, they found him in the hallway. He was able to give them a basic description of the men. They were white, and he did not recognize any of them. Jeff died from his wounds shortly after. After the brutal murder, as tempers cooled and reality set in, Sean and his friends convened to discuss their predicament. If they were truly going to get away with this crime, everything depended on a strict vow of silence. The murder weapon was sunk into a lake, incriminating clothing was burned, and Sean's group pledged to take the events of that night to their graves. They kept that promise for the next 10 years. It's a well-known fact that most murders are solved within the first 48 hours. Those that aren't are more likely to sit gathering dust indefinitely. As years passed, Sean waited with bated breath for the day investigators would connect the dots and knock at his door with a warrant for his arrest. But with no new evidence coming to light and the media's attention swept away to other things, the case of Jeff Rogers' murder went cold. As the distance grew between Sean and the murder, his chances of being captured were cut slim. Instead, Sean focused on burying the memory of that terrible night, just as he had sunk the murder weapon to the bottom of the river. In the next episode of Voices of a Killer, Jeff Rogers' family continues to fight for justice, and the dark past comes back to bite Sean Reynolds. If you want to find out what happens next, right now, you can sign up at patreon.com/voicesofakiller. There you can find bonus content, early access, ad-free listening, and access to our chat community. So go to patreon.com/voicesofakiller to sign up now. Your support is what keeps us passionate about bringing these stories to you. That's a wrap on this episode of Voices of a Killer. A big shout out to Sonic Futures, who handled the production, audio editing, music licensing, and promotion of this podcast. If you want to hear more episodes like this one, make sure to visit our website at voicesofakiller.com. There you can find previous episodes, transcripts, and additional information about the podcast. Lastly, if you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving us a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Your feedback helps us improve and reach new listeners. Thank you for your support, and we can't wait to share more stories with you in the future. Thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Toby, and we'll see you next time on Voices of a Killer.